Welcome to Let's Chat with Julie Lewin and the Cancer Talk series, where we delve into the triumphs, challenges and resilience of those touched by cancer, exploring stories of hope, healing and empowerment. I'm your host, Julie Lewin. Thank you for joining us. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Chat with Julie Lewin. And today, our special guest is Julie Wood. So you've got two Julies today.
Hey, Julie. Well, great to be here.
Thank you. I am so excited for today's episode. I don't know if you realize how excited. So let me give our listeners a little intro so that they have a little bit of background. So, Julie, I've known you for many, many years, and you are a successful coach, business owner, public speaker, and writer with a huge passion for helping your clients shift into being powerful creators. You are a woman after my own heart. I am all of those things as well. And why I wanted to talk to you today is because I think it was about 6.5 years ago, you said you were diagnosed with cancer and doctors didn't expect you would make it. And here we are. And as my good friend, Dr. Vishal Rao would say, you are a statistical outlier. And I know he will be interested in what we chat about today. So this chat today is about our journey through cancer. Both of us have had a journey through cancer. I think Vishal calls me a statistical outlier. I'm going to pass the baton on and call you a statistical outlier. And the overarching theme of our podcast is the inner work. And I would like you to share, and we'll have a conversation about what we did individually to navigate this, but introduce yourself to our audience and bring them up to speed a little bit about your journey.
Up to speed. I mean, I think the journey started when I was a child.
Yeah.
Right? Same. And you just, I don't know, you seem to think a little bit differently to other people. Whatever it is, that resilience or that sense of something greater than yourself.
Yeah.
I've
just had a chat with someone else and we were talking about this. When was the moment that you realized there was something greater than?
I don't know that there was a moment. I don't remember just, being a moment. I remember being shy. I remember being affected by other people's energy. I remember those things, but I don't know that I ever remembered it. I just think that I just floated through somehow.
Yeah.
And I was this healer. I didn't even really take any notice of it because I thought, anybody does this stuff, right? And then I did nursing because, my mum said I had to have a career.
Was your mum a nurse?
No.
Oh, do you know what? Our story is so similar. My whole focus was to be a nurse, but I never did it.
No, I was never. My mum, no, I had to have a career though. And I obviously was no good at being a secretary.
Oh, well, that's what I became.
Right? It was obviously not going to be a fit for me. And so it was decided that I would be a nurse.
Okay.
So
how long did you nurse?
How long or?
Yeah, how long?
Oh, over 30 years.
Wow.
A long time.
A big career.
Yeah. So no, I did nursing, but I didn't do hospital nursing. I hated hospital nursing.
What did you do?
I did occupational health and I did family planning and I did things outside the hospital system.
Yes.
And I had great teachers along the way. It was about preventative medicine,
Right. All the
right?
way, like
All the
right
way.
from get-go, it was about
Yeah.
preventative
It's
medicine. Yeah.
always about more preventative medicine,
Hmm.
you know, and why are we doing all this stuff to
Yeah.
people?
Yeah.
Why aren't
Yeah.
we working in the beginning, you know, like
I
stopping it?
agree. Yeah.
So that's all the whole way through. And I guess I've always been interested in spirituality, never
Hmm.
in church stuff, because I saw what would be the word, the conflict between what people were saying and what they were actually
What that they
doing.
were, how their behavior was.
Yeah, so
I,
it
I
wasn't.
I saw the same. I had the same conflict. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and, you know, I didn't do that. So I was just spiritual. My mum was spiritual. She
Mm-hmm.
believed in homeopathy and stuff.
Oh, awesome.
I should have gone to naturopathy school, but that was never an option.
Do you know what? That's what I wanted to do as well, but we just did not have the money. We had
No,
two little babies and it,
yeah.
it just wasn't an option, right?
This, I think the same, you know.
Mm,
It's like,
yeah.
and then I finished I injured my back, so
Oh,
nursing. So that meant I had to learn to walk again because you know I had a really severe injury,
oh my
and
goodness.
so you know all there was all this stuff
Yeah.
and hospital nursing. I mean, I love the interaction with the patients
Hmm.
and all that stuff, and I actually did coronary care. I worked with the heart
Oh,
transplant
wow.
patients
Wow.
in St Vincent's in Sydney, and they wanted me to stay on and do their course, but no, I wasn't going to do that. I want to do midwifery, which is what you
Okay.
did back then, way back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah.
So, you know, off I went, and but everything moved me more into spirituality
Mm,
and more into healing, I
yeah.
guess,
Yeah.
but not in a cohesive way, or
Yeah.
it was just
Well,
more
you
about
know,
building
Julie,
faith.
back then we didn't have the internet. We
No,
didn't, there weren't teachers readily available. There weren't even that many books.
no, I don't remember any of those.
No, it was a challenge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it
So
was.
you had to
And
go in.
yeah, you had to look at yourself, didn't
You
you?
did.
And I think we lived in Western Australia for a while, and my mum joined this group. Well, this is, you know, way back in the 80s.
Yeah.
And she used to get these newsletters, you know, where they
In the
do
mail.
meditation in the mail,
Yes.
meditation and stuff. And so I sort of followed that through
Yeah.
and did more of that. And then my husband had an accident in 1989, which left him with severe brain damage and stuff. And I took that as an opportunity to step into being and doing what I was here for.
Hmm.
Don't know where it came from, but that's just what I knew that would happen.
You had that knowing.
So I took him out of hospital, took him to Malaysia, to you know, and don't bring him back here when it fails. I said, it's not going to fail. So off we went and to Malaysia for a month to be
Oh,
treated by a
wow.
Qigong master.
Oh, wow.
Came back and he got his recovery improved. He got some memory back,
Oh,
and so we were on this journey, you know,
yeah.
and gradually I just got deeper and deeper into my healing work with
Yeah.
that. And
And so
then
your husband was the spark that basically
yeah, he was the
started that.
opportunity.
Mm.
And
Wow.
sometimes you know, it's like, do you feel guilty about that because you know you took it as an opportunity to step into
Does,
who you are,
do
right?
you actually think that thought?
No,
N-
no, I just think, no, this was the path. You know, it was just
Correct.
sort of laid out in front of me, and it's like,
And you took it, you
and I
followed
took
it,
it.
and but you had a deep knowing, Julie,
Yeah.
not to leave him where he was.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that following the deep knowing, I think, is so important for the inner work to actually trust that you're being guided to
Yeah.
take steps that might be outside of the conventional parameters and to do what you know to be the right thing in the moment.
Oh, absolutely. And it really was, I just told the hospital when things were going to happen to him, and they wouldn't take any notice, and then, suddenly that had happened, and so
Yeah.
I really had to trust what I got.
Yeah.
And then
How did I just have a question there? Like what did you do? Like what was the thought process for you to trust what you got?
I think I was just in such a state
Yeah.
of,
Yeah.
this is such a big trauma,
Mm-hmm.
because they
Yeah.
weren't expecting him to live, and the
Right.
damage was so great
Yeah.
that he was never going to talk, walk, or do anything.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, I just knew. I just
Yeah.
knew that he would get better. I
Mm-hmm.
knew, and I knew when things were going wrong, and
Mm-hmm.
I think I just completely surrendered
Yeah.
to what was happening. I
And
worked. I was still working.
you were working, and the thing about surrender is that you can't mindfully do it. Like you can't strategically surrender. It's just this thing that comes over you. And for me, it's like a dropping of all tension, all expectations with the highest acceptance that I have ever experienced in a moment.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
that,
And
but also, I think by surrendering, I was, working a night shift, driving up to Perth every day, spending half the day at the hospital. I still had to pay the bills, look after
mm,
the dog, pay the mortgage, do all the
mm,
things that you have to do. So it was a real, to step into that sort of surrender, I think. I don't know that I just did it,
yeah.
because what was the option?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Uh,
Yeah.
and I
Wow.
think now when I think about surrendering, it's like I've got this battle going on.
That's right, because you can't strategically surrender.
Can't,
That's what I
no,
mean by
yeah,
strategically surrender. You can't surrender from your mind. You can only surrender from your heart.
yeah, and
And there is a difference. And you just demonstrated that so well, so well.
yeah,
And so when it's true surrender, because it's actually a you take action, but b it's a completely different feeling. Like there's
it, it
no
is.
polarity, is there, when you surrender? Yeah.
No, and you're just in that space of,
Mm.
well, this is my next step.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
This is what I need to do now. Whereas when when you try to surrender, your mind's going, well, what are you going to do? You've got all this stuff to do over here,
Correct.
and how are you going to do that?
Hmm.
So
It's a
I,
minefield.
it is a minefield, and I just laugh at myself, going, well, remember when?
Yeah, that's right. So so that was the beginning of your journey for maybe alternative healing
Yeah,
or
allow me to
outside the box healing.
outside the box healing,
Hmm.
because I did used to take him out of hospital, and we used to go and see a healer who did all this brain work
Uh-huh.
in this little house at the back of nowhere. And
Yeah.
so I used to do all that stuff because I would ask around, if there was any healers or what
Yeah.
was other stuff. And it really allowed me to open up
Yeah.
and to really again trust,
Hmm.
but to use my intuition and to get a greater depth of understanding that there's something greater than us.
And you know what? Julie, I think that we were lucky to be able to do it in the 80s because there was no internet. There were no external forces that we could compare with.
No.
We just had to learn to trust. And I think that that's an advantage for people our age, where people that are younger have different advantages. But I feel like that was an advantage. And what I did was joined a psychic development group, and we did an 8-week course. And I think there was maybe 13 in the class, and 5 of us stayed together, and we got together every week for 2 years. So that's like an apprenticeship, right?
Yeah.
And we had a structure for our gathering where we did telepathy, we did psychometry, we did channeling, we did everyone had to write guided meditations, and each week it was a different leader, and we had to facilitate our group. And now that I think back on it, that was extraordinary to
Yeah.
have that.
Totally. I was only talking to someone yesterday and I said, you know, there's so much information, there's so many programs
Mm,
that it's overwhelming,
yeah.
and that the FOMO, the fear of missing
Mm-hmm.
out, people are signing up to this program, this program, this program, and this
Mm,
program, and it's not stabilizing them into
mm,
any one thing,
mm.
and it's totally confusing them, and they're not able to choose or understand what's the right path for themselves.
Yeah, I can appreciate that it would be confusing.
And I was thinking about, I studied nutrition medicine, you know, some
Mm,
of the things I studied because I wanted to have a better understanding. As a healer, I knew that I can heal people,
mhm.
but it wouldn't last.
That's
There
it.
had to be something missing,
Uh,
right?
I'm glad we're having this conversation. Yes.
So I went to uni. When I came back, I went to the America for a couple of months and stayed with friends. And I did some DNA work, healing work,
Hmm.
learning that, and stayed with a shaman and did some deeper work. And when I came back, I went and did nutrition medicine because I wanted to understand how people we could help people
Mm,
to keep that healing.
hmm.
And so nutrition was came up as a big thing because most people haven't got good nutrition. So their
Yeah,
cellular biochemistry
yeah,
is
yeah.
not able to hold the results.
Hmm.
And so, you know, I studied that and I had an amazing professor who was a bit out, very out there, who was,
Hmm.
must have been a shaman because this whole house was full of stuff.
Right.
And, and so, you know, I said to him, oh, you know, because I became a vegan because that's what you do. And he said, why did you do that?
Yeah, yeah. My question as well. Why did you do that?
Because I thought it was the right thing to do. You can't be
And
spiritual,
oh,
right?
was it
You
the
can't,
right thing to do for your body?
no, it was
Mm,
not.
yeah.
And he said, you know, when you started putting on weight, didn't you realize that it was a problem? And I thought, well, it took a while to wake up. But yeah, eventually I got it.
That's interesting because I went raw vegetarian in
Yeah.
1999, and I lost a lot of weight, maybe 20 kilos without trying. And it was a very stressful time. My dad had died, but I didn't process that. And look, I'm not proud to say I went back to work after his funeral. Like I didn't take any time for grieving.
No.
And the consequence of that was that I just kept on going, like going. But I changed my diet. I went raw vegetarian, and just started losing all this weight, and my mind was not in a good space. And I was so tired. And ultimately, it turned out that I developed thyroid cancer. And so every time I start to lose weight now, I'm like, I can feel myself going, oh, is it back? Or what's going on? Is there something wrong with me? And that's not always the case. Like when you're a bunch of kilos overweight, you should be proud that you've lost a few kilos. But, there's that trigger in there for me.
Oh, absolutely. I
Yeah.
mean, and for me, because I put on weight,
Mm.
we went raw, vegan,
Uh-huh.
and I put on all this weight. And my professor said to me, "You do realize that the amount of stress that you are under, and the same like for you, only you
Mm.
lost weight, I put it
Mm.
on."
Mm.
He said, "What you what happened eventually was, we start off our cortisol levels go really high, and then if we stay in that really chronic stress state, our
Mm.
cortisol levels end up down in our toes
Yeah.
with our
Oh, I
hormones,
was going to say in the bottom of the toilet, but yeah,
so
down
like
in
in
our
our
toes.
toes,
Yeah,
and so then you end up with all these health issues.
correct.
I had hyperparathyroidism. I had nodules on my thyroid.
Oh, yeah, same.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I had all that stuff, and it took me, and I had chronic fatigue, and
same, same.
I
Yeah,
had all that. And he said, "Didn't you realize what you were doing?" It's like, no, the bell didn't ring.
same. Yeah,
So,
man.
then I had to wake up to myself, and then I moved back into a moderate diet, eating a bit of everything.
Actually, Julie, I've just had a memory. At that time, um, my blood sugar was registering on the glucometer LO. So I was chronically in hypoglycemia, and I would drive and not remember where I was going or how I got there.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
that was, I was very thin and
Well,
very
see, I was
unwell.
already very thin before,
Yeah.
and so I was around 52 kilos, and
Mhm.
I'm tall,
Yeah.
and so I was very very thin, and
Yep.
then
Yep.
obviously doing this was the wrong thing, so my body just went,
Hmm.
okay, we can't deal with this anymore, and so
Yeah.
we're just going to hang on to everything,
Hmm.
and that's what happened, and so
And
it
how
took
long did you do the vegan, raw vegan?
quite a few years, I think about
Wow.
5 years, I
Wow.
think. And and then when I started studying nutrition medicine, I realized that it's just everything in moderation and nothing in
That's,
excess.
you know what? That's what my mum kept saying to me. And my mum was a nurse, and she just kept saying, Julie, everything in moderation. And it's like a loop in my head that and when you just said that, yep, that's what my mum said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, we studied some genetics, and we
Hmm.
looked at, where do people come from? We should be eating what our genes are,
Mm.
what, but we're so mixed in our genetics now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do you
Yeah.
know sometimes what's the best? So you have to find what's best for you.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think that's one of the hardest things for us. But, I just thought, oh, okay. So it took a while to recover from that. And then, I've got a few other things happen with my husband and
Hmm.
other things. And I was working shift work at one of the hospitals, and it wasn't things that I enjoyed, but it was things that, we had to have an income to pay for everything.
Yeah.
And I just I just wasn't right.
Hmm.
And then I found a lump in my
Okay.
breast, and
Yeah.
then I got a biopsy, and it said it was triple negative breast cancer. So
Right.
which is the most aggressive, and so they wanted to put me on chemo, radiation, and give me a mastectomy. And I said, well, I'll agree to, you can remove the lump, you can remove the sentinel node, which is holding the cancer, but you can't take anything else.
Yep.
And I was very fortunate that the oncologist and the surgeon were happy
to do that
under pressure.
Yep.
And they did.
Yep.
So that was really good. And they gave me 3 months. They said, you'll be dead in 3 months because you're not going to do any treatment, of course.
Yeah, but they didn't know about the inner journey that you were going to do, or that you have been doing. So
yeah,
what did you do? Like, what was your inner work that you did?
Well, I said to the oncologist that if I have chemo, it'll kill me, and I know it will. Right? I just know it will, because my adrenals and it's not my immune system, but my adrenals and my capacity for stress is really unstable.
Yeah.
It was really unstable. And if you do that, it will kill me. And I'd sooner have a good life for the time that I've got.
Yeah.
Than do this. And I will be doing other stuff. So I did. And I did a lot of inner work looking at, I never saw it as a fight or a war. I saw it, right?
When I was having the chat with Vishal, the surgical oncologist in India, he said the people who don't see it as a war, don't see it as a battle or a fight, they're the ones that are statistical outliers. And so you didn't even know what his observations were, but you knew that was the mindset about it.
Yeah, and I took it as, well, it's a metabolic imbalance going on in my body.
Right.
So obviously, because we have cancer cells in our body all the time.
I agree.
And we know that. And so what precipitated it? And also looking at, okay, why did I choose this?
Good question.
And I knew that I chose it because I didn't want to be here anymore.
Yeah, same. Same.
No,
I'd
had enough. Yeah.
Do you know what I used to do? Because I had a stressful life, and I used to say, please God, don't let me wake up in the morning. And then when I got diagnosed, I went, oh God, I've changed my mind. I do want to live. What do I have to do to live?
Yeah. And it's like, I thought, no, I'm, this life, it's the pits. It's just the same thing. It's all this stress. Nothing's changing. Everything seems to be the same. Everything, it's getting more intense. I'm getting older. All the stuff that it goes through your mind. And I thought, I just don't want to be here anymore. So I broke my leg, tore all the tendons in the shoulder, gave myself cancer, and then thought,
you did a good job.
I did a good job, yes. I was very determined, but none of it worked. And it was like, well, you're here for bigger things, my dear.
Did you say, what's your plan for me?
I did. I said, yeah. Well, if you want me here, you better tell me.
That's right. I used to lie in bed and go, God, if you want me to do this, you've got to show me how. You've got to give me the guidance.
Yeah. And I used to stand out the back, look at the stars and go, give me some sort of sign.
Exactly. Speaking of signs, did you get a sign? Because I'll share with you what I asked for. What did you ask for? What sign
Not
did
just
you?
ask for any sign. So I just want something to show that, this is going to be okay.
Oh,
And
I
all I
asked
kept
for
getting
an
was,
orange feather.
oh, you,
I was very specific. I've got a little, you know how you get those little trinket
yeah,
boxes? I've got a little trinket box full of orange feathers that I've collected over the decades
wow.
because I was really troubled. And I go, you know what? If I'm on the right track, just give me a sign and then I'd find an orange feather. And that's what
Wow.
gave me the faith and the courage to keep going.
I just kept getting, you
What did
know,
you get? What did you get?
nothing. But I tell you what I did get. I got this amazing doctor
Uh-huh.
who did complementary therapy, who brought in stuff from overseas.
Yeah.
I don't know how she did it, but she did it. And so I had all this amazing treatment that you
Awesome.
would have to go to Mexico for,
Right. Yeah.
or somewhere else, Europe for. I don't know how she did it, but she did, and she
But she
brought it
did
in.
because you were meant to
Yeah,
have it.
and she was so amazing. She's passed
Yeah.
away now,
Mm.
and she was on her own cancer journey. She was
Wow.
actually worked with an oncologist. They told her she was going to die. She told them that she wasn't, and so she went on this and opened up her own clinic,
Good on
still
her.
having treating herself for cancer while she's treating everyone
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
And so it was just amazing that these people showed up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Um,
that was your guidance.
and that was my
Yeah.
guidance.
Yeah.
And
Look, I don't know if I've shared this on a podcast or in a video, but after I had my last abdominal surgery in 2002, they actually thought they were operating to remove a cancerous lump where my ovary had been. And it was complicated surgery, but it wasn't cancer. But that was in 2002. And I just went, that's it. I am not having any more surgery. And then in 2004, we just moved house and it was a Queenslander, high ceilings, and I put my arms up behind my head, and something made me go like this. And I ran my hand down over my breast, and I went, shit, that's a lump. It was that big. And
wow,
I could get my fingers around it inside of my breast. And I went, you know what? I am not going to the doctor. I rang my naturopath friend and I said, this is what has happened. I am not going to the doctor. How can you help me? And she gave me some herbs and I can't remember what else she gave me, but it was white crystals. And I put a handy liner in it and taped it to my chest. In 30 days, that lump was gone. I don't know what it was.
wow.
But I ended up with a cavity in my breast, like I'd had a lumpectomy. I was doing calling on all the spirits, all the, you name it, I was calling on it. And I did intensive work to clear whatever that was. And, you know, I still haven't had surgery since that declaration.
Wow.
And
That's
I've had cancer relapse, but I didn't have surgery. I fixed, here's the thing, and you will agree with this. If we're smart enough to create something in our body, we're
oh,
smart enough to disassemble it or uncreate it. And that's my core belief that I just have to change the frequency.
yeah.
Is
That's
that what you
totally.
believe?
Yeah, and speaking of frequency, I did frequency work.
Did you?
Yes, I did. I did Rife, and I did other frequencies as
Mm,
well. But in my inner work, when I went in
yeah.
as well, I was like, well, every cell in my being radiates light, love and light,
Yeah.
is of the highest resonance. And anything that's not of that will dissolve and be released.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also looking at, okay, well, what was the what was the impetus to do this? What, what were you trying to achieve? Was it just to prove that you could fix yourself, or was it because you really wanted to leave, or that what is it? And what choices are you making about how you want to live? And what would that look like?
What answers did you get?
And it was like, okay, you've always known that you're here to do all this work, but you've never known how to put it together. Right? And one of the questions I've always asked myself is, well, how do I present this in a way for people so they understand what I'm doing?
So you were
why
your
you do
own
all these
case
courses.
study.
Yeah. And so, next question. Okay, well, you better give me some way to do it.
Yeah.
And one of my clients who I worked with for years, she sent this couple to me for a session, and they told me what they were creating, which is magnetic mind. And so they said, oh, we're just starting. We've just done a session up in Sunshine Coast. We're going to do one on the Gold Coast. Anyway, I went and saw it. So I thought, this is it. This is what I've been looking for. This is the missing bit.
Yeah.
And it gave me a structure to work in.
Right.
Where I could combine everything that I do.
Right.
And so I got that. I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. I became certified in it. And that really shifted everything for me. Suddenly, I was getting more work.
Yeah.
Suddenly, I was I was seeing results anyway. I used to ask my clients, well, you didn't come back for that other session. And they said, well, no, you fixed me in the first one, so I didn't need to come back.
Yeah, that's
great.
great.
It's great, but it doesn't pay the bills.
It doesn't.
And so it was like, okay, so now suddenly I've got this opportunity, and I can really step into being this creator, this conscious creator.
Did this happen after you had the breast?
This is after the cancer.
Okay.
This is while I was having treatment, even.
Yeah.
Right, that all this came about, and and so many things have happened in the last 5 years. Both my parents have passed, and I looked after my mum for a while, and
same.
We looked after Dad, and I was travelling up and down to New South Wales, which was just getting too much.
It's a lot.
And so I brought Mum up here in the end, and she hated it. She hates everything, but anyway, it was all good. She appreciated it. She just gave me a hard time. But it brought all this new and really amazing stuff for me, so that I could really step into, and also because I choose. I'm not fixing, and because I came from, it's not a battle, it's not a war, and I'm over. I'm creating whatever it is, so I can uncreate it. Like I said, if I can create it, I can change it.
Yeah, change it.
And so, getting all those realizations and knowing, okay, look, I can do all this stuff on other people. I've fixed broken bones, and I've done this and I've done that. Why, for what reason am I stopping myself?
Right.
For what reason? Mainly it's fear.
Right.
It's fear because...
Fear of what? Fear about what?
Not belonging. People won't like you.
Yeah.
All those normal fears.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest fear was of my own power.
Wow.
And I think a lot of people I see are the same. They're scared that they were so powerful that they destroyed a planet, or they were so powerful
Mm,
they destroyed a family, or there was something in their power that they made a choice that they would never be powerful again. I know that was my choice.
right.
And so it was okay, but we need to be powerful because
Hmm.
this is a time of real
It
change.
is. Yes.
And so instead of being focused on not being good enough, not deserving, not belonging,
Mm,
and all that stuff, and everyone's more powerful than you, and who's going to listen to you, all that terrible stuff that we
hmm.
have, it's starting to go, okay, this is me, I'm authentic, I am capable, I'm resilient, I
Mm,
have strength. I can create what I choose.
yeah.
And so that's my little mantra, I choose.
Yeah.
And it's like I choose to live the life that I love. And
Yeah.
so I be it to see it. So I
Yeah.
start to become it.
That's it. We actually had this conversation a few weeks ago with our Arakira students, and I think it was Wayne Dyer said, people would say, I'll believe it when I see it. But Wayne Dyer says, no, you'll see it when you believe it. He flipped it.
Yeah.
And it's so true. And I believe so many out of the box things. Not only do I believe it, but I witness it and I experience it because I have such an open mind
Yeah.
that I'm not constricted by conditioning.
No.
And so, am I a rebel? Yeah, probably. Am I a radical? Probably, but not in a bad way, in an inquiring way, in a curious way.
But I think if we step into wonder and
That was my next word.
yeah,
Awe and wonder. Yes.
yeah. If we step into that,
Yeah.
we allow ourselves to see possibilities
Yes.
and not problems.
Exactly.
And because we have unlimited possibilities,
Exactly.
but we have to want to change and we have to act on that change. We have to gain the
Yeah.
knowledge and we have
Yeah.
to empower ourselves. And I think, how do you package that?
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't have resilience because they've never
No.
been taught it.
Hmm.
A lot of people aren't empowered because they've given their power over to other people or
That's
to
right.
the
That's
system.
it. Yeah.
And when you see, I mean, clients I see have had so much trauma in their
Mm.
childhood,
Mm.
and that's the basis of their belief system,
Mm.
that they keep falling back into it.
Of course, because that's the default pattern, right?
Yeah.
That's the default
Yeah.
program.
And so when we start to shift out of that
Mm.
and choose to live a life that we love,
Yep.
and we start to be that, so what would the person I'm becoming do?
Yeah.
Then we become it, and then I am it. I am
That's
living the
it.
life that I love, or I
Yeah.
am doing that. And that was my thought processes when I
Every
was
day.
doing my inner work every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
That if I shift my perspective,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm sure for you it's the same, every day I would hear all these people going through chemo or
Mm-hmm.
having this war with cancer, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just bombarding me, and it was like, some days was really hard to go, okay, that's not what I'm doing.
Mm.
I'm not, I choose not to think that way.
Do you know what, Julie? When my mum and dad retired, they retired in 1981 to Harvey Bay. And, you know, my dad had been at work their whole marriage, and suddenly he's at home and he wants to do everything with her. And she thought, I need some time. I need some time just for me. And she knew he would not pick up a paintbrush. So she started art classes. And she went and had art classes with a guy called Harry Rossini or Racine. I can't remember if it was the I on the end. And after she got to know him, she said, Julie, I think that you need to meet Harry. I think that you would enjoy meeting Harry. And so I did. I went to a class with her and I met Harry. And we used to go and visit and have a cup of tea. And his story was that he got diagnosed with cancer. And the doctors told him to go home and get his affairs in order because he had 3 months to live. Similar story. And so he told no one, didn't get his affairs in order. He paid somebody to take him to a deserted island in the Hinchinbrook Passage, which is
Wow.
up in North Queensland, and leave him there. Because he thought, well, if I'm going to die, I might as well, be on a deserted island and. And so that was his philosophy. And he said, and sometime in the future, if someone was exploring, they'd find his bones. Well, 3 months came, 6 months came, 12 months came. And he thought, I wonder what's going on here. And so somehow he communicated to a passing boat, hoy, hoy, pick me up. And when he went back to the doctors, there was no cancer in his body. So that was the first story that I'd ever heard that somebody could reverse cancer.
Wow.
And I had to think about that. And I thought, you know what he did? He left the outside world. He went and when you're on your own, you're on your own. It's an inner journey, right? All
Yeah.
you've got is me, myself, and I. And he was eating off the land, or the sea. He was eating fresh, eating raw if he had to, and he was eating real food. So he changed his nutrition, left the outside influences, was probably barefoot on the earth, grounding, and all the inflammation was leaving.
Yeah.
He was in the ocean. He was on the sand. He probably built a treehouse for himself. I don't know. I can't remember. But you know what? He went back to basics. And because I think I had that evidence as a 20-something-year-old, then that was like a foundation for me of what's possible. And I never forgot his story. And,
That's amazing.
I know, isn't it a great story?
Yeah, I love it. And
Yeah.
and you just reminded me of, when AIDS was around,
Yes, I do. I
right?
have a story about that. So
Yeah.
keep going.
I remember in the US, because there was all those young guys and they were all dying and
Yeah.
they'd go into hospital, and anyway, they realized that they could spend up big on their credit card because they'd never have to pay it. And so that released them from all this
Stress.
stress. And the only problem was that they all lived,
Oh my
or
goodness.
most of them lived, not all of them lived. But
Wow.
it was just another example of how by
Releasing the
shifting,
stress.
losing that stress, shifting your mindset, like, well,
Yeah.
who cares? It doesn't matter. I'm going to do
That's
anyway.
right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what they found. That there was this whole cohort.
Oh my goodness. What what, like they didn't know that they were a study, but they were a study.
Yeah, they were a study.
That's
That's
amazing.
and I always remember that. And when my husband had his accident, I did a lot of research and looking at, okay, well, what can you do for
Mm.
rebuilding neurons and brain
Hmm.
cells? Because at that point, they didn't think there was plasticity in the brain. They
Right.
thought once you had it damaged, that
Yeah,
was it.
yeah.
But we know now, of course,
Neuroplasticity.
that we have neuroplasticity and we
Yeah.
create new
New.
neuronal pathways.
That's right. Yeah.
And I read a story. I mean, again, it was before the internet, really.
Yeah.
But the research that I did, excuse me, found that there was a girl in the US who went to college and she only had a tenth of a brain.
Wow.
And so that proved that you could train and change in the brain
Hmm.
and end up going to college and university, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I thought, yeah, okay then. So that's what we needed to do, which led me to these healers where I used to take him out and they used to bring in all the, Dr. Lawfan and the Galactic Federation of Healers and stuff. And they used to do all these brain reconnections.
Hmm.
And so,
And so, how is your husband still with us?
yep, he
And
is.
is he verbal? Like, is
Yeah,
how is
yeah,
he?
he got his driver's license.
Oh,
He
Julie,
drove
that's
himself back to Perth and
fantastic.
to visit friends. He went on his own. This is quite a few years ago now,
Yeah.
and now he's been his best, but now it's like the deterioration. So now we're doing different things, looking at
Yeah.
different brain frequencies, different
Mm.
ways that we can shift him so that his memory
Mm.
stays as much as possible, and
Mm.
all that stuff. So yeah, we're doing all of that
Yeah.
to assist. And
So, just on your husband, do you think that there's scarring on his brain?
oh, we know there's a lot of scarring.
I have a technique that when we hang up, I won't do it here, but I have a technique that I'm going to teach you that I would really like you to do
Yep.
for the scarring. It will soften the scarring and integrate back into, I don't know how it works. I just know that if you do it, one of my clients, her husband had brain injury and he would get really angry. And I said, could you just do this with your husband?
Yeah.
And she said he just softened and it was like a different person. And I had forgotten that I had suggested that. And it was
Right.
amazing. And I've just had that flash of memory. I
Yeah.
will teach you that when we hang up. Yeah.
Thanks. Because I think um, we knew he had a lot of scarring because he started having absent
Ah,
seizures,
yeah.
but they've gone.
That's amazing.
And so now he's not on any medication because they came and then they were there for a couple of years and now they're gone.
Wow. And
So
so he's been like your ongoing case study.
yeah, he has.
And then you became your own case study.
Yes.
And
And then
you were told 3 months, and here you are 6.5 years later.
yeah,
How are you now?
I'm I'm working through issues with my spine and my
Okay.
hips at this moment.
Yeah.
This is really I know it's old stuff.
Yeah.
It's really old stuff, and I've been doing all this family work and inner work on family because this is
Right.
the time to do it, to release it,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and also to look at what am I choosing to learn out of this? Do I need to learn anything out of this? Why am I stopping myself from stepping out?
Mm.
for what reason. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm working at the moment.
Excellent. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's just uncovering all the different layers and looking
And, that's the thing, Julie. This is what I've discovered, that they are layers. And like, I've been on a 40-year personal development journey, and it sounds like you have as well, or even longer. And we work on stuff and we think, oh yeah, well, we've done that. And then it comes back round. Yeah, it comes back round, but we're
yeah,
looking at it from a different perspective. And so it's like what we're working through is the many facets of a prism or a gem, a cut stone. Like, we're
yeah,
not looking through the same facet every time. There's lots of different ways. Like I've got this beautiful ring here. There's all these different facets that make it up. It's not just one facet that
no.
creates that gem, that stone. And we're works in progress as well.
And I
And
think we're so multidimensional,
correct.
and there's so many timelines running.
Mm-hmm.
And at the moment, we're crossing over timelines
I
and
think
getting
so.
caught
Yeah.
in timelines, and
Yeah.
we're jumping timelines because I
Yeah.
know stuff's disappearing out of the house, and the next
I
minute,
know, right? Like, hello.
yes. And so we're doing all that, and we're really being pushed to let go.
Yeah.
We're really being pushed to let go of all the stuff that we've been hanging on to because it's not real.
Yeah. And you
And
know what? I'm really, I don't know about you, but I'm really feeling that. And look, I'm 64. This is the first Easter that I have not spent with family in my
wow,
entire life. And we were going to spend it, but we made a family decision that we would all have Easter to ourselves.
wow,
And I am so looking forward to that. And I've made a commitment to myself. I have a client early in the morning. That's it. I'm not doing any work for 4 days. But what I do want to do is I want to clear stuff out. I said to
yeah,
Frank, we're going to fill that trailer over and over and over because it's stuff, right? And I want to lessen my footprint, and all the stuff has a frequency, and I
yeah,
want to bring that frequency down. And I know stuff can actually create stress. And I don't know about you, but I know that stress is my kryptonite.
yeah,
And that stress makes my cells go a bit nuts. And so
yeah,
my goal is every day I just go, how can I reduce my load? How can I reduce my stress? And that's probably my mantra. How can I reduce it? And look, I love your I choose, I become, I am, because every day we can make a choice about stress.
yeah.
And that's what I'm looking
I
forward
love
to.
that because yeah, I'm trying to do that. I'm saying I'm trying because if you try anything, you fail it, right?
Yeah.
So,
No, I'm doing it. I'm
so
doing it.
I have been doing that slowly, but not
Yeah.
as quickly as I would like because
It was
it's like I feel some days I feel so incapacitated, and it's like, well, you're creating it, and it's like, well, I know I'm creating it.
so
It's
here's the
not
thing.
going.
I had a long standing pattern of if I wanted to rest, I made myself sick.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now I just go and I rest. I do those things without making myself sick. And my daughter, Tash, actually, she said, Mum, you don't have to do that. And I go, yes. And she'd say, just don't do it. And so it's like her first language. for me, I had to learn that language.
Yeah, I think that's our age, isn't it? Because,
I'd say so. Yeah,
that was the pressure. That was the pressure. You've
that's right.
got to be perfect. You've got to
Well,
be.
Julie, I could talk to you all day, but I'm going to honor our community, and we're
Yeah.
going to wrap up. So, what last words of wisdom would you like to share?
I think when we're faced with any challenge,
Yeah.
it's stopping and thinking and reflecting
Mm,
and just breathing
yeah.
and taking that breath, because when we start to do that, our unconscious, our conscious, and our superconscious, and all that is, has time to bring stuff into us so that
Yeah.
we know what to do.
I love that.
And I think
Mm,
stepping into that innocence and
yes.
wonder as with if we
Yes.
can do that. And the trouble is our monkey mind keeps going all over the shop. But if we can find something to concentrate on to
Mm-hmm.
allow us to breathe
Mm-hmm.
and to take that time, then all sorts of wondrous things happen.
It does. It really, really does. And, you know, I look for awe and wonder every day.
Yeah,
And what you look for is what you invariably find. So if you're looking for criticism and, hatred and challenges and difficulty, that's what you're going to find. If you're looking for awe and wonder and kindness and gentleness and joy, that's what you're going to find.
yeah, I agree. And it's being of the world but in the world. I think isn't
Yes,
that, you know,
yes, yeah,
it's not being caught up
yeah.
in the fear mongering that's going
Hmm.
on, but
That's
just
right.
observing it.
Observe it, being the observer,
Yeah,
that's a key. It's an absolute key. Now I
yeah.
see that you've got your website up there on your screen.
Thank
Could you
you.
just say that so that people
Yeah.
listening could?
So my website is consciouscreators.coach. And I
Beautiful.
actually have an app that it's not on there, but I have an app people can download where I run different programs from. So it's on their
Fantastic.
phone, so it's in their pocket and they can
What's
take it
the
with
app
them.
called? I did not know that.
Yeah, it's called Conscious Creators Academy.
Awesome.
And
Awesome. I'm going to
it's
go and
in
check
an
it out.
Apple or Google. It's
Fantastic,
something
Julie.
because I wanted something people could have in their pocket so they
Yeah,
could always
yeah.
get into.
That's
So
awesome. Thank you so much for
thank you. It's
coming
been an honor
and
and a
chatting with
privilege.
me. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Yeah, me too.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another incredible episode of Let's Chat with Julie Lewin and our special guest, Julie Wood. We covered on the trauma. It's about Julie's cancer journey, but it was about the inner work and the stress that led to that and what she is been able to do as a result of being on that journey and being told you have 3 months to live, and she's going, I don't think so. And I hope that you found something valuable for your own life and your inner journey in what we shared today. I hope that you enjoyed it. And if you did, like and follow wherever you watch this episode, and so that it can get into the hands of those who need it most. Also, your insights and feedback are really important to us, and that shapes how we develop this podcast. If you know someone who you think would be an awesome person for us to interview, please share the link with them or let us know who they are, and we'll invite them to have a chat. And if you have topics that we could chat about that we haven't chatted about yet, please let us know what you would like us to talk about. That's important as well. Thank you for listening. And remember, the journey of self-discovery and growth is an ongoing process and is way beyond these airwaves. Until next time, may you find courage, peace, and magic on your unique path. Thank you. Bye.